Okay, it's good to go now. It is.
Okay, you ready then?
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we would like to recognize that collectively we are on the unceded territories of all the First Nations within our regional boundaries. And could I get approval of the agenda?
I move.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now, Kristen, do you want to read that now?
Yes, thank you. So I forgot to put this resolution on. We had it on the board. We had a little report on the board meeting. And this is with respect to the ministerial order that requires us to make best efforts to have in-person public attendance at our meetings. And that's something that we are still working on. Yes. Tony, do you want to say something?
Listen, are we supposed to read that other blurb out about electronic meetings? Are we supposed to do that at every meeting? I didn't see it. I didn't see it on there.
Yeah, we sometimes do that before. Yeah.
Okay,
So I'm just going to finish this piece.
sure.
Graham, and while I'm doing that, do you want to just pull up that wording and then maybe you can read it for Chair Mack for the virtual meeting policy?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. So there's a ministerial order that requires us to make best efforts if we're not having an in-person public attendance at our meetings. And so we are in the process of determining if and how we can safely reopen for that purpose. But we are not there yet. So I have this resolution that explains that and provides how we are ensuring openness of our meeting. So I'm just going to read this, and then Chair Mack is going to call the question on it. So this is the resolution, similar to what the board considered at the board meeting last month. That pursuant to Ministerial Order M192, the EAD committee is excluding in-person public attendance at this July 8th, 2020 meeting on the basis that public attendance in a manner consistent with public health orders and recommendations cannot yet be accommodated, as the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District is still in the process of assessing if and how it can reopen to the extent necessary. And the EAD committee is ensuring openness, transparency, accessibility, and accountability at this meeting by the following means. This meeting is being live streamed, and a video of this meeting will be available on the SLRD website for viewing on an on-demand basis.
Okay, could I have somebody move that, please?
Move, Steve.
Okay, moved and seconded. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now,
Thank you.
is Graham going to read the other electronic thing then?
Yes.
I can either read it or I can screen share it and you can read it as the chair, either way.
No, you can read it. That's fine. I have complete faith in you, Graham.
Okay.
Well, you could screen share it and we'll say we've all read it.
Could do that too.
Yeah.
This meeting of the board or committee of the board is being held virtually, with all meeting participants attending via electronic communications in order to adhere to the provincial health officer's orders respecting physical distancing requirements as a measure to prevent the transmission of COVID-19. Directors will be involved in and participate in the meeting. For the closed portion of the meeting, directors confirm that they are alone and that the meeting can only be heard and seen by them. If available, directors will wear headphones for the closed portion of the meeting. Directors are to identify themselves when advising the chair that they wish to be placed on the speakers list, and this will be done by raising their hands. The chair will record the order in which the hands are raised and will allow the directors to speak in the order in which they are recorded. If directors are unable to raise their hands due to being in audio mode, they will verbally advise the chair of their intention to speak. Directors will mute their device unless they wish to speak. The chair may also choose to mute the microphones, and the directors may unmute the microphones on their own accord when required. With respect to a vote, directors are only required to state a nay vote, i.e. directors are not required to voice a yay vote. Directors attending the meeting are required to verbally advise the chair of when they leave the meeting and return to the meeting, so that this can be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. For clarity, if a director does not verbally advise the chair, but is observed to be absent from their video feed, and their video feed remains turned on, and it is unclear to staff whether they are present in the meeting, the director will be marked absent from the meeting until such time as staff observes the director to reappear in the video feed. Directors will text message the Chief Administrative Officer if they have a technical difficulty with their computer or telephone. If directors are unable to text the CAO, the directors will email the chair. If a technical difficulty occurs and it becomes apparent that a director has become disconnected from the meeting will be recessed until the connection status of the director has been determined, at which time the meeting will be reconvened with or without the director present, provided the meeting's quorum is maintained. Directors who declare a conflict of interest in respect of an agenda item will be directed to the virtual waiting room while the board considers the agenda item. Once the board completes its consideration of such agenda item, the director will be readmitted to the virtual meeting room. Directors who are present within the virtual waiting room are asked to stay at their computer or otherwise remain present and connected to their computer if possible for the entire duration of their time in the waiting room so as not to miss their readmittance into the virtual meeting room. If possible, any chat functionality of the application will be disabled, and if it is not possible to be disabled, directors will not use this chat functionality during the meeting.
Well done, well done. So I need then to have somebody move that, second it. Sal seconds it. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now we go on to the consent agenda. Is there anything in the consent agenda that needs to be removed? Okay, I don't see any hands, so could I have somebody move the consent agenda, please? Sal, seconded. Vivian? Okay, call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now we go to 4, business arising from the minutes. Is there any from anybody? No. Okay, moved and seconded by Tony and Vivian. Call question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Staff reports and other business. Interim CAO verbal update. Kristen?
I have none.
Okay. Directors reports. This is actually a combination of Director Rainbow and myself. So I'll let Tony explain what the program here is. So it's 6.1, Sea to Sky Hospice Society gazebo.
Okay, thank you, Russell. Last year, or maybe the year before, Area C and Area D contributed, I think it was about 20 grand each, to support the development of a garden behind the Sea to Sky Hospice. And they spent most of that money and had hundreds of hours of volunteer work in creating that garden. And while they were doing that, they decided that it would be really nice to have a gazebo out there, which would make the space available for longer periods of time. You know, if it shelter from the rain, shelter from the sun, and just a nice feature anyway. So they approached us and asked for $10,000, which is cost of materials. The labor is being provided on a voluntary basis. So I called Russell and asked him if Area C was interested in joining D with that, and the answer was yes. And so I would move that 10,000. What am I moving here? That we recommend to the board that $5,000 be granted from each of Area C and Area D amenities funds for a total of $10,000 towards the gazebo. So I'll move that.
And I'll second that. Yeah, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, thank you, Russell. Thank you.
And
Yeah,
that was
that's excellent.
sorry, that was
Okay.
a recommendation to the board.
Yeah, because it's amenities funds.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, number 7, correspondence for action. Request for funding British Columbia Mountain Foundation Water Sprite Lake Trail Repair, Area D. Tony?
Yeah, this is, they first applied to the district of Squamish because they thought they were within the district's boundaries, but they're not. They're in Area D. It's a trail that they have built, and what happens in heavy rainfalls is the culvert is plugged, and it just the trail becomes a creek. It's pretty well impassable. So they would like to, and to fix it, they need to helicopter in a little backhoe. So they've asked for $15,000. I don't want to approve that much. I would be prepared to put $10,000 into it, and then they need to, just because I think they need to sort of scout around and find some additional financial support. So I would move that. Did I want that out of select funds? I can't remember. I think I did.
It doesn't say.
It doesn't say. But Kristen, did I?
You didn't talk to me about where you'd like
Where
it
it was
to
coming from? Did I? No.
come from.
Well, this is a strange one because the guy talked to me some time ago, and then sent the application to our info@SLRD address. So I didn't actually get it in time to really get back to him. But anyway, yeah, so I'll move that we allocate $10,000. Sorry. Kristen, would.
So, I just wanted to, before you go too far with the motion, whether it's dependent on them getting the 5,000 from another source, or if you just want to give them the 10,000 outright.
I hadn't thought about that. What do you suggest there?
Well, they need another 5,000.
Yeah.
Maybe you could approve it subject to them confirming with staff that the remaining funds have been secured from another source.
Okay. That's fine with me. Yeah, because if I just give it to them, then I'll have no control over what the heck happens. I'll spend it on other things. So yeah. 10. So I move that we allocate $10,000 from Area D Select, and that it be advanced when staff are assured that they have the remaining $5,000. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I'll second that, but Sal has a question.
Just curious. I looked at the information supplied, and I'm really curious if it's a legally established trail with the province, or and do they have a permit to do what they're doing? There's nothing in there that stated that. And then with that, what's the liability to the SLRD?
So that's like I said, I'm a little unprepared on this one because it.
Yeah.
But could we? Would you make that in as a motion to sort of direct, so I can go back to them with that as a motion rather than me just asking the question?
I think that the motion would be that the funding is dependent on proper permits being supplied.
So we have a motion on the table for the first motion. So is this an amendment to that motion to add that as a condition, or do you want to remove the original motion?
No, as a condition.
Yeah,
If you,
we could just expand that first motion, couldn't we? And so the two conditions are, one, that they come up the other $5,000, and two, that they provide appropriate permits. Thank you, Sal. I appreciate that.
Okay, Joe, that was moved and seconded,
So,
correct?
yeah, so I believe that Director Demers would be an amendment to the original motion, so we could vote on the amendment.
Okay.
Well, I'll move that amendment. Sal will second it. And I'll call the question, and then all in favor, opposed, motion carried. So do I have to do that again then for the complete motion?
Yes, call the
Is it-
question on the main, the motion as amended.
Amended motion.
Yeah, okay. So it's moved and seconded. I'll call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. Okay. Now we go to 7.2, request for funding, Darcy Community. This is the annual maintenance on the defibrillator that they have in the community. So I'll move this, and Sal will second it. And this money comes out of, just comes out of select funds.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll call a question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. And request for funding Squamish Access Society, urine diverting toilet, so chic, or checking this Canyon Recreation Site. So that's Tony once again.
Yeah, it is. There's a site. There's a site that's been developed out there. The Squamish Access Society works with BC Parks. This area is rapidly developing into an alternative for climbing, an alternative to the Chief. And there are no facilities out there at all right now. So these toilets that they're putting in there, the total cost of the toilet is $15,000 plus a lot of volunteer labor to get it installed. I've seen, if you want to see one ever, there's one at Mirren Park, just off the highway. That would be the easiest one to see. There's also one at Smoke Bluffs in Squamish. And this character, Brian, took me to see both of those so that I knew what he was talking about. So they are good. They last a long time, and they get used, and they're very efficient sort of environmentally. So I move that. Have I got a motion there? Where are we? I'll find it in a minute. That $10,000 be allocated to Squamish Access Society for the purpose of installing a urine diverting toilet. Funds to come from select funds.
Second.
Okay. Call a question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. Very good, Tony. That's good. Now we go to 7.4. Request for funding Permanent Firefighters Association new training facility. So they have got their coal smoke building probably about 85% finished, and they're just needing some extra funds just to finish it off. So I'd like to put $2,000, and I'm going to put this from amenity funds, just so that all the firefighting stuff for different areas all comes from amenity funds. So this will have to go to the board for approval, but I'd like to do that. So I'll move it, and Vivian's going to second it.
We all second it.
Very good, thank you. I'll call a question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. And now 7.5 is request for funding Lillooet Friendship Center Society Transportation Fund. And that would be Vivian.
Thank you, Chair Mac. So as you
You're welcome.
said, Friendship Center, on behalf of the Women's Leadership Council, requests funding of $2,000 towards a fund to assist with transportation on the OWL bus when women, children, and other vulnerable people are at risk and need to leave their homes and/or community. And I'd like to move $2,000 from Area B Select funds towards this, please.
Okay,
Yeah,
Sal's gonna move that. Okay,
I just,
Sal's gonna move it. Tony's gonna second it.
yeah, I had a question.
Do you have a question, Sal?
No, I do.
Oh, okay, Tony.
Yeah, no question that I support it. I'm just interested to know during this this time, has there been an increased demand for that kind of service, Vivian?
I think so. And because of distancing requirements, it means more trips. It's been difficult for this group. And so I'm really quite pleased to be able to support them. I think we'll probably see more requests for help with transportation
Yeah.
to Area B. The Bridge River Houston also has a little public bus service, but they've decided not to run it due to COVID restrictions. However, the Friendship Center is still maintaining this service, and I'm glad they are.
Good, thank you.
Very good, good for you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. So now we go a decision on late business. Any late business, Kristen? Don't we have a couple of items from Tony?
Yes,
Would that be under late business?
Yes.
so
Okay,
Chris, are we going to do the Arts Council one first, Kristen?
Well, first we have to do the vote to consider them.
Right.
So if you want to, so that if you maybe want to describe the two items and then we can vote on it and then we can go into late business and do them one by one.
Okay. I'm describing them?
Do you want, sure.
yes,
Yeah, sure. Okay. So the first one is a request from the Squamish Arts Council. Now, the woman that has handled this for the last 3 years moved about 6 weeks ago and neglected to submit the application at the time. And I just realized that they've got this event coming up in September. And if we were going to consider it, it'd have to be this meeting rather than wait until September. So for that reason, if we had a meeting in July, I'd wait until then. Had a meeting in August, I'd wait until then. But because they want to do the event in September, I wanted to bring it forward today. So that was the first one. The second one, we've had an ongoing study and discussion with the Britannia Beach Community Association regarding their dock. And Kristen made me aware this week that if we continue with that, then we need to provide some $5,000 from Select to satisfy a government requirement. So again, that's only just been brought to my attention, and we're not sure yet whether we are going to continue, but I would like to, I want to discuss that and maybe get that funding in place in case we need it. So that's the two items.
okay, so we need a motion to put those items on the agenda then, is that right, Kristen?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'll make that motion and
I'll
I have a
second.
mover and a seconder. Okay, moved and seconded. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. So now we're going to go through them individually.
Yes.
Okay, so Tony doesn't need to explain it over again, does he?
Well, no, but what I need to do is I need to declare a conflict because my wife is on the board of the Squamish Arts Council and is one of the organizers of this committee. So I should be removed, please, Graham, while that's dealt with.
Okay, Vivian?
Am I
Just before you go, I wonder, I'm not sure that you said an amount or I didn't hear it.
It's in the document that I provided, or that Kristen.
Okay,
It's, what is it, $4,500?
okay, thank you.
Okay, Graham, are you gonna put Tony in the, he's disappeared.
Yeah, he's in the waiting room now.
Okay, very good. So we've got a mover and a seconder on this, Vivian and Sal. Call the
Correct.
question.
And this
all
is-
in favor, Opposed, motion carried.
From Select
Yep.
was the motion,
Go ahead,
correct?
Kristen.
Sorry, the motion
Yes.
was from Select? Okay.
Yes. So, and then, now is he, does he have a conflict with the second request or no?
No,
So we bring him back then?
yes.
Okay. You're back.
I'm back. Okay, thank you. I'm
Okay,
back.
do you want to move the second one, Tony? You're on mute. You're on mute, Tony.
Yeah, that's got that done, but now I can't. Ah, okay, good. So the second one regarding the Britannia Beach dock, if we take over the tenure of that dock, then we need to provide a security deposit for the province of $5,000, and we need up to $500 for other incidental costs. So my motion would be that we approve the amount of $5,500 from select funds for the purpose of securing the tenure to the dock at Britannia Beach. I can leave it at that. That covers it.
Okay, I'll move that. Could I have a seconder, please? Vivian, and I'll call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. Did you have a question, Vivian? No?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. I was just trying to second it.
Okay, very good, thank you.
I am a bit,
So now, go ahead.
I am a little bit curious about which department, like you said, government, Tony, who bills for this?
That'd be Flynn Road.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so now we're, I guess, at decision on late business. Director's notice of motion. None. And this is Tony's favorite part of every meeting, number 11.
I move adjournment.
Okay, moved and seconded. And nobody's going to oppose that, so
How do you know?
motion carries.